Yes, you, my stars, you all have finally agreed to let me up. At least some of you wanted to hear me up. Talking about my OCs has been in the back of my mind for months now, and this is my chance, especially before Art Fight starts. This isn't the first story with the first OCs I've ever created, but this is my most developed and the one I'm most excited about. I wish to introduce y'all the immorality of magic. Yes, the name's important, we'll get there. Before we do start, please note that I don't have updated reference sheets or any reference sheets for some characters, which is why I'll be using small doodles and simple flashes of older designs for some of my characters. Additionally, because I am lacking these references, my OC runs will probably split into two videos, so forgive me for that. But with that out of the way, we're going to start from the beginning. No, I mean the beginning. Like the birth of the gods of this universe type of beginning. Yes, I am creating a whole religion for this world. This part will be referred to as the historical pre-act. Yes, we have acts, keep up. So, not to go into the full religious concept of it, we're going to start with our two main stars, as they will be referred to in this world. We have Lysan, deity of superiority, and Orson, deity of inferiority. And no, this does not mean one is stronger than the other, but simply means that they represent being opposites and already creating the idea that they have to balance each other out. Now, stars, if you may have noticed, are an important part in the story of the gods. In the short summary possible, the world was born out of fire, and Lysa and Ornis kind of rose out of it. Ornis found comfort in the fire, and Lysan didn't. Lysan put out the fire because they felt like creating things as deities and gods do, which in turn left Ornis cold and freezing. Lysan, of course, didn't wish for their other half to suffer, so they worked with Ornis to create the stars as their first creation, which in turn helped Ornis kind of stop being in pain and freezing. I know it doesn't make sense, but it's really cute, okay? Then, Linus, being the impatient deity that they are, started using the stars and the stardust to create planets and all that good stuff, including the Earth in this universe. But something was missing, which was when Ornis offered to use the magic of their combined stars to create life, and they did, bringing into the picture three more gods. We have Colonius, the god of birth, Utro, the goddess of death, and Milos, the god of living. Yes, that is different from the god of birth. One is about being brought into existence, and the other one is about experiencing life in existence, but they didn't get their titles immediately. The newly born gods began experimenting with their powers. Colonius used multiple of the planets Lance has created, one of them being the Earth in the story, and created life of his own, aka the beings we'd imagine on Earth and humans. Utro went to visit her brother's creation and asked to test out her own powers on the beings he brought to life. He agreed, and in a single second, she got like half the population wiped off. Colonius was shocked and disappointed in what he created. He said to let these mortal beings continue of heirs, but he wasn't willing to let them have more. Utro saw no point in sticking around and went to stay in the place of the afterlife to greet and help the mortals who ended up there. Milo, seeing the mortal creatures be left alone, felt horrible and chose to take matters to his own hands and take care of them during their lifetimes. Long story short, Milos became the main god of worship for people's lifetimes, although some prayers during the birth of new children or passing of loved ones were passed to Colonius and Utro too. Milos later on, when people first began being smarter and more creative, created the first magic for humans to help them use in whatever tasks. In the current time the main story takes place, a few prayers here and there are passed around, but the religious aspect faded off a little as people began to rely on their magic rather than the gods. They didn't stop them from using simple religious symbols for certain things such as graves and certain clothes, but normally nothing much more than that. Okay, that was a lot. We're going to jump a little forward as I get into more detail and explanation for the magic in this world next time once I get the pre-act characters ready. Yes, that is different from the historical pre-act. Jumping into Act 1, aka the main story. We're starting with Addison Murphy, or just Addie, our main character. Addie is a typical teen in her magical high school, at least at the start of the story. Average drama, dead father, alcoholic abusive mother who never got over her dead husband, and an emo older brother. We'll get into him in a bit. Truth be told, Addison is just heavily based off of me and everything I wished to be as a kid, which was unrealistic as we don't have magic in the actual world. I created Addie's first concept back in 2024, and she hasn't really changed too much. Olive's little snake is her companion. He is important as he's a magical snake, but he's too involved in the deeper concepts of magic I promise we'll get into next time. Ada spends her time letting the good magic taught in school, which is the only form of magic taught in school. Evil magic has been prohibited, again for reasons in the pre-act. But to explain it simply, evil magic kinda almost killed all of humanity, but we later on with the characters learn to remove that stereotype from that form of magic. Do we see where the gates to immorality lead to? Sure, she just likes to annoy the living hell out of her older brother, Clyde. No, Clyde Murphy, or just Clyde, even though not my favorite OC, he's the first OC I created for this world. He's dealing with the same problems as Addie while kind of shutting himself off from others. He's a musician and plays in a rock band as the lead guitarist. In as much as he would like to be emo and play sad music alone, the world just can't seem to leave him alone. Now, Clyde's magic isn't the same as Addie's. Magic kind of flows with the person. For Addie, it's your typical lasers, shields of magic, abracadabra type thing. Well, for Clyde, his magic comes from his music. Imagine Serval from Honkai Star Rail, except less aggressive, I guess. But of course, we can't run from queer representation with someone like me introducing Charles Carl, or Charlie, aka Clyde's boyfriend. Obviously, they're not together from the start, but as the story progresses, they will get together, I promise. Charlie is a self-dependent character. He lost his parents as a kid, got moved into a relative's house who didn't know how to take care of kids other than to give them the necessities. So he's the I can do this without any help type of character. Charlie is slightly less involved in the whole magic thing at the start of the story, other than they're using a few books to create some potions because he's far too focused on being buried in the books. I enjoy Charles' character because he's the type of character that doesn't start complex, but it becomes complex as the story goes on, and lets go of his perfect ideas of himself and starts accepting himself and his flaws to the fullest, which I can't wait to fully explore eventually. But now we have our last character in the main group, and that's Zuri. Zuri is probably my favorite OC. She is a very unique character that I truly enjoy exploring in most of the different aspects. Zuri has strict parents who wanted to do something meaningful, like become a doctor or a lawyer or any high level of extreme study. However, Zuri's true passion is fashion, but she doesn't wish to go against her parents. So she leaves that job to her little sister, and no, I don't have a reference sheet for her yet, but I'll get to it. Zuri is most free around her friends, and she becomes a little more sassy. Imagine Rarity from My Little Pony. Yeah, that's literally who Zuri's main aspects are based off of. She kinda makes sure all her friends don't look like Clyde on a daily basis, and tries to just keep the balance. We'll later see as she develops that her sass doesn't help too much in hiding all her stress and fears. Okay, that was a lot. Can we tell why this is split into two parts? I've been trying to get this story out for a while. I would love to explore this story more on my channel. If you made it this far, please do comment your thoughts down below and let me know if you truly want to hear the details of the pre-act and the whole magical structure in part 2. Until then, that's all for me today. If you enjoyed hearing me out, consider liking the video and subscribing. Better yet, you can go check out my other videos on screen. And while you're at it, you can go check out my Instagram and Tumblr. Remember to shine bright, my stars, and bye-bye!